Welcome back, you guys. This is your stimulus check update. This is your second stimulus check update for Sunday, June 28th. And let's get into your stimulus updates today. A lot has been going on in the past week. As we start a brand new week tomorrow, I just want to make sure that everybody's up to speed on the second stimulus check updates, the $600 per week PUA unemployment benefits, as well as those of you who are receiving Social Security, SSI, and SSDI. I want to make sure that you guys have the adequate time to make arrangements for what's about to be happening over the next several weeks. And there are several changes that will be taking place that you need to be aware of, especially for those of you guys who are on fixed incomes like SSI as well as SSDI. So you don't want to miss out. But before we get into it, I just want to say welcome back to all my subscribers. I really appreciate you guys. I really do. And for those of you guys who are new here, we cover all things personal finance, investing, how to make more money, and how to generate multiple streams of income. So if you're interested in any of that, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now, I'm just wearing this because I'm about to go work out. I wanted to make sure I got you guys your stimulus update before I left. But anyway, let's get into it. So as of lately, there's been a lot of talk about whether the next stimulus bill will have another round of stimulus checks in it for the American people. Now, more than 159 million Americans have already received the economic impact payments up to $1,200 per person since the CARES Act was passed back in March. Now, President Trump shared some details about a second stimulus during an interview with Joe St. George earlier this week. And during that interview, Trump said, "We will be doing another stimulus package." He also said that it will be very good. It'll be very generous. Then on Tuesday, Larry Kudlow, the director of the White House National Economic Council, said that the Trump administration was just considering pushing for another round of stimulus checks in an economic relief package that Congress is planning to discuss next month. Now, this came directly from Larry Kudlow, so that would actually mean July. Now, Kudlow says that these discussions are still going on, but Kudlow says direct mail payments or tax rebates are still on the table. Now, the way the HEROES Act is written, which has already been passed by the House of Representatives last month, it would actually allow at least the same number of people to qualify for the second round of stimulus checks and even expand the eligibility to even include those who didn't even qualify for the first round of stimulus checks. But Kudlow is saying that these payments might target those who are most in need. So this will raise the question, who's going to determine who's most in need here, right? Like, what qualification metrics are they going to use to be able to determine who's most in need and who's not most in need, right? So I would not be surprised to see the second round of stimulus checks including different income requirements than what was originally provided in the CARES Act. And it's likely that less people would qualify. So this would suggest that not all of the roughly 160 million Americans who qualify for the first round of stimulus checks would qualify for the second. Now, if this happens, what would this mean for the American people? If Congress decided to shrink the eligibility pool, that would mean that there's more money to go around to those who qualify, wouldn't it? The first round of stimulus checks paid $1,200 for most adults, plus the $500 for each qualifying child up to 3 children. This means that a family of 5 could have potentially qualified for a one-time payment of $3,400 during the first round of stimulus checks. Now, if the amount of money allocated for the second round of stimulus checks remains the same as it was in the CARES Act, or it increases, that would allow the Treasury to be able to pay out more money to those who do qualify during the second round of stimulus checks. And I'm going to show you how this can get interesting, right? So discussions regarding a $2,000 per month stimulus check have been brought back up lately. And so this is getting a little bit more interesting here, right? So the Senate bill that was introduced by Kamala Harris, Bernie Sanders, and Ed Markey, called the Monthly Economic Crisis Support Act, has been re-entering the discussions. Now, this bill would offer up to $2,000 per month payments for qualifying individuals, with families able to receive up to $10,000 per month. Now, this bill would offer up to $2,000 per month monthly payments for qualifying individuals, with families being able to receive up to $10,000 per month. Now, when this proposal first was presented, it really didn't get very far because of the cost of paying so many people that much money. But if the number of people were reduced due to tighter eligibility requirements, then it would give the proposal new life, and I could see how it might re-enter some serious discussions. Now, we've already seen $1.4 billion in stimulus checks sent to freaking dead people, right? In error, but they still sent them. So wouldn't this money be able to go back into the pool once the checks have been returned or the money's been repaid? Now, if it does, I could see how this money could be reallocated to provide stimulus checks to those who qualify for the second round. Now, Senator Harris is really pushing for the $2,000 per month stimulus payment because just last week, she accepted a change.org petition, which was signed by 1.2 million individuals who supported the proposal, and she said she plans to share it with others in Congress. Now, just this past Tuesday, she renewed her call for the recurring stimulus payments. Harris sent out a tweet saying, "Our economy is now in a recession stemming from a public health crisis with no end in sight. We need bold policies if we're going to be able to get through this crisis." That's why I'm proposing a $2,000 per month monthly stimulus payment for the duration of the pandemic. Now, without knowing how much of the pool of reduced qualified recipients would be, it's kind of hard to say like exactly how expensive it would be compared to the $1,200 stimulus checks that were sent out in the first round. But I would still guess that it would be multiple times more expensive. So what are you guys' thoughts on these stimulus checks? Are you more in favor of more people getting a one-time stimulus payment of $1,200 again? Or would you rather have fewer people qualify, but pay those fewer people $2,000 monthly stimulus checks to those who qualify? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Now, over the past few weeks, most states have begun reopening and businesses have been trying to get back on their feet. But with endless restrictions being placed on businesses, it's even more difficult to get going again. The longer it takes for businesses to get back to full capacity, the longer it's going to take for people to be able to land new jobs. Now, to make matters worse, we've seen a resurgence in virus cases since the reopening of the economy, and this has forced pockets of the country to pause reopening efforts and in some cases enforce mandatory business closures. Now, over the past few days or past several days, a number of states, including Florida, Texas, Arizona, and South Carolina, have seen a massive increase in virus cases. This makes the V-shaped recovery that President Trump had in mind much more difficult to achieve. The most detrimental part of the situation is that the $600 federal boost in weekly unemployment payments is about to expire at the end of July. Plus, almost all states' eviction moratoriums for renters are going to expire in July as well. So this is like a perfect economic storm for disaster. The most recently reported unemployment rate was 13.3%, which is the highest it's ever been since the Great Depression. Now, of course, many people are going to argue that the actual unemployment rate is even higher than that, but I'm not here to debate that. I'm just saying that the unemployment rate was pretty high. So the unemployment rate was expected to remain above 10% for at least the next year, assuming a healthy reopening of the economy. But, since we're seeing that the economy may not be able to reopen at the expected pace, this could certainly put much more pressure on Congress to act sooner than later. What do you guys think? Do y'all think it's time for Congress to be taking a paid vacation in the middle of all this? I'd hate to have their vacation plans interrupted, but I think they need to step up their game. Now, when the first round of stimulus checks were first being sent out, those of you receiving government payments, such as, those of you receiving Social Security or SSI or SSDI, may have been told that you didn't have to do anything and that you'd be receiving your stimulus payments automatically since the IRS already had your information on file. Now, of course, we found that while this is true for most people, there's still many people who did not receive their first stimulus checks or did not receive their extra $500 per qualifying child. Now, this created a huge mess and it makes things even more difficult when you're on a fixed income. Now, Larry Kudlow is focused on making sure that, the second round of stimulus checks goes to those who are most in need. I hope that includes those on fixed incomes, like those of you guys on Social Security, SSI, and SSDI, because they are truly feeling the pinch, as we've also seen an increase in the cost of food since the pandemic began. Now, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average price of groceries is up like 2.6% in April. And in some areas of the country, the increases were much larger. The price of ground beef in like Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas increased by like 14.5%. And then the price of chicken breasts in Los Angeles skyrocketed by more than 26%. Not to mention the price of orange juice is up like 14.5%. Now, this is due to a number of factors, including inflation. Then you got higher demand for food as people decided to stock up on food and all those other related products, which prematurely depleted inventories. Not to mention that there's been a huge shortage of workers available to produce and distribute the food. So, you know, it's like, it's all these factors that have driven up the price of food. And for those of you guys on fixed incomes, I would say that you guys should fall into the categories of those who are most in need. I hope that Congress is aware of these considerations when they're determining the eligibility requirements, as it is not just those who are without jobs who need a lot of help. Well, guys, that's all for this update. I really appreciate you guys for watching until the end. And if you found any value in this video, I would appreciate it if you give this video a like. It lets me know that you guys have found this information helpful, and I'm here for you guys. I'm here to help you guys out as best as I can. I'll be keeping you guys updated with all the latest news on stimulus checks, stimulus packages. So make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.